A lot of orange and blue pride pulsating through the Twitterverse after the Illini go on the road and a 20-game road losing streak against ranked teams. First win in 14 years in a situation like that one as they took down number 7 Penn State. Here is how it happened. Dave Revson, Joshua Perry, Howard Griffith, Jerry DiNardo with you. Pick it up in the first quarter. Sean Clifford did get the start. Keandre Lambert-Smith, 42-yard touchdown, 7-0 Nittany Lions. They were up 10-0 when Chase Brown got going. How about 33 carries for 223 yards? The second time this season he's gone over 200, joining Rashard Mendenhall and Howard Griffith as the only two Illinois backs with multiple 200-yard games in the same season. Takes it in for the touchdown. Illini down 10-7, and here he goes again, Howard.
Really did an outstanding job. Offensive line doing a great job of pulling to the left. He just puts the foot in the ground and accelerates.
He wasn't the only back going over 100 for the Fighting Illini. They have something special in Josh McCray, Joshua.
Yeah, I mean, look at this guy. He's a load to take down. Just really aggressive. As he gets downhill, he's a problem.
142 rushing yards in this one. Later on the drive, Art Sitkowski, Daniel Barker, touchdown Illini. They take the lead, but... Brett can't believe it. Barker caught the ball past the line of scrimmage. That's key. If he's behind the line, the lineman can be downfield blocking. He wasn't, and Alex Filstrom was downfield blocking.
Offensive line.
Opportunity to work on the play, though.
Yes, they would kick a field goal, so tied it at 10. Now, we end up in the overtime, first overtime session after Penn State kicked a field goal. A near interception there by Penn State's Jaquan Brisker, but Illinois able to kick a field goal to send the overtimes onward in the third OT. Sean Clifford can't hold on.
Lefty's getting to work today, huh?
That's right.
So now Illinois ball. Art Sitkowski to Josh McCray to win the game.
Yes, outside.
It's a little too tall.
So now to the fourth overtime we go, and these are all just 3-yard plays, I should say, two-point conversions. Just back and forth with those. Art Sitkowski looking for Jakari Norwood. Left it short, and Sitkowski went down hard on his non-throwing arm. He would leave the game in an air catch. To the 7th overtime we go. Again, trying these 2-point conversions, and Noah Kane stopped on the 1. We are still even. To the 8th overtime we go. Why not just give the ball to the most dynamic guy you've got?
It sounds like a suggestion we heard in the green room.
Yeah, it may have been. Isaiah Williams.
Yeah, I think that was my suggestion.
That was not your suggestion.
Oh, was it?
Someone on the desk suggested it, but it wasn't you.
So it could have been one of you three.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
Eliminated myself.
It wasn't me.
I kind of think it was me. Anyway, Penn State ball. Noah Kane. Oh, they finally are able to run one in. Penn State had no run game whatsoever in this one, but they do get the 2 points there. And so we extend it to a 9th overtime. This is the longest game in college football history at this point.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not in on this.
We're part of history.
Well, you are part of it. You can say that you voiced over the highlight. Yes. You watched the longest game. Kalen Tolson knocks that one down.
Meaningful.
And so now it's Illinois' turn. Brandon Peters back in the game. Casey Washington. And there you have it. The Illini get just their 3rd conference road win over an AP top 10 team in the last 50 years. Here's what it sounded like with Brian Barnhart on the call.
Peters rolls to the end zone. It is caught. It is caught. Yes! And it's good. And the Illini have won. They have upset number 7. They caught it in the end zone. 2 points. The Illini are running all over the field, trying to find other people to hug.
There was a lot of hugging going on after this one, as the Illini pull it out in dramatic fashion. 20-18, Brett Bielema's team wins its 2nd conference game this year. Here's Brian Tripp with the winners.
Coach, congratulations. Where do we start? The longest game in FBS history. How would you describe this win?
You know what? It's earned. I tell our guys every day, nobody's going to give you anything. You earn everything. And from our bye week to where we are to coming out on this trip, we talked about 74 guys. I don't need anybody to be a first-team All-American or All-Pro. I just need them to be the best you, and that's what they did.
To come on the road and beat a top 10 team in your first year, what does this win do for your program?
You know, hopefully it's just another good step in the right direction. Got a lot of great people back in Champaign. I can't wait to get home and see, especially my wife and my 2 girls. But I think the thing that represents what we are is it just was the perseverance to battle through a lot. Lost a quarterback, right? Lost a running back. Lost our starting our left tackle. It's just the next guy up continues to show.
And how were you able to control the line of scrimmage and run the ball so successfully today?
Yeah, you know what? We wanted to get as many offensive linemen on the field. Came out with a new set. Thought Tony Peterson, our offensive coach, did a great job. Our defense is relentless, never give up, and I just can't say enough about our assistant coaches and our players.
You play in the longest game in FBS history today. Have you ever been a part of anything like this before?
Never in my life. I couldn't dream of anything like this. I couldn't dream it up. 9 OTs. Crazy.
How deep down did you have to dig, and where did it come from for time and time again to stop Penn State's offense?
You know, we had a bye week going into this game, so I would say it started real early. And by the time we hit the plane, we had the mindset that we could do it.
And what did it mean to come into a visiting stadium against a top 10 team and pick up this win for your program?
It mean everything. You know, we were underdogs, and we came out with relentless effort, and ultimately we came out on top.
So this was the longest game in college football history in terms of the number of overtimes that were played. Again, the new rules this year, but 9 overtimes exceeding the previous mark of 7, which had been set 5 times most recently in 2018. A little lower scoring game than
A lot more points than those other
some
games.
of those other ones. Win's a win. Let's talk first about Illinois, because I will say this. If you did not watch this game and you say, well, maybe it's a little fluky and it went to 9 overtimes, this was not fluky. I mean, they ran for 357 yards. Howard, they absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage. They completely shut down Penn State's run game, made them one-dimensional, and that dimension wasn't particularly good for Penn State. Illinois deserved to win this game.
They absolutely did. And it really wasn't close. When you think about the way Illinois controlled the line of scrimmage, when you talk about that offense, the run game was truly dominant. And this was without their left tackle, their starting left tackle. They were still able to make plays. And the running backs running downhill, getting to the second level, really caused a lot of problems for Penn State. And I was actually surprised that Penn State was not able to give up a better fight up front against this team.
Yeah, it was totally one-sided at the line of scrimmage. Let's give Brett Bielema and the team a lot of credit for coming off an off week, a bye week, and being ready for this. I mean, this was really tough duty. On the Penn State side, they only rushed for 62 yards, and we can give Illinois' defense a lot of credit for that. But Penn State's run game has been a problem all year. I don't know if it's philosophy. I don't know if it's the talent they have up front, but they've got a problem with the run game. But the run game is what won Illinois the game.
You talk about that Illinois bye week, and one of the things that went on there is that players in that building were challenged on what they wanted to be, specifically up front. When you talk about that offensive line, they were challenged in the way that they were playing ball, and they came out and they answered that challenge. And I think that was one of the most impressive parts. And we can go back and forth on, we think Penn State's a better team and this, that, and the third. The way it looked out there, you said it, there was no question on which team was the best. Now, if you're Illinois, this is a building point. You can't live off of this one when you got to go and build from it. If you're Penn State, there are a lot of questions, specifically on your defensive side of the ball, about how you can challenge teams so that doesn't happen again.
The defense of Penn State's been good all year, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we got to cut them some slack. It's not like they have put their team in bad position. They put their team in to win almost every game on defense. It's their offensive run game.
You think about Brett Bielema and this Illinois team getting a signature win in the first season. That's huge.
No doubt.
You go out on the recruiting trail. When you had a little talking back and forth as far as what the media and the outside world were talking about, how Coach Bielema really presented himself to the way his team was playing, particularly guys up front, and to go out and have really a performance like this on the road in a hostile environment, you got to give him a lot of credit. You said it. You got to give his coaching staff a lot of credit, and the players responded, no matter what the outside world feels that those comments were like, they responded to their coach.
Jerry, I'll push back on one thing. I agree that Penn State's defense has been really good all year, but one thing that we questioned as a group is Penn State's defense against a team that wanted to be the bully up front, wanted to run the football downhill. And they lost P.J. Mustipher for the year, and he's a big part of what they were doing up front. And their response was not good. So I think that becomes a question, is what are you going to do now in response to how you performed on Saturday and where you're going to get better so that performance doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I agree. Today they didn't hold up against a downhill team. They did against Wisconsin in the opener. They didn't today. But overall, 100%. If you're coaching the Penn State defense or you're the head coach of Penn State, maybe they didn't play very good today, but they have a good defense.
Yes, it's not alarm time. You're not sounding the alarms, but you're asking the tough questions for sure.
You
have questions on offense for sure if you're the head coach.
No doubt. Second most rushing yards they have given up this century. Penn State. You think about Illinois guys. I mean, they've got Rutgers next week at home. I mean, they've already got a couple Big Ten wins. Got to be feeling really good about where they stand, thanks in large part to our auto owners insurance game leaders. And again, Brown and McCray were just fantastic. You see, the defense played extremely well, too. Witherspoon is highlighted there, but 4 sacks, 9 tackles per loss. They allowed 3.6 yards per play, so a lot of credit to go around for this Illinois team. Meanwhile, on Penn State's side, here's what James Franklin had to say after the game.
Obviously, we were struggling on offense all day long. Those same issues showed up, obviously in overtime periods with the 2-point plays. Very similar to some of the issues that they had, that our defense did a good job. Obviously we didn't get the job done. I think it was 9 overtimes or whatever it was. There was plenty of plays and plenty of opportunities for us to end it. And either we did not execute or we did not make plays when we had opportunities to do. And that's on offense and defense. We did not have our guys ready to play. I think obviously there's a difference between playing Iowa on the road and having that type of loss with the type of injuries we had going into our bye week. But at the end of the day, all that matters is we get the job done, and we did not today, and I did not today.
Ohio State and Indiana, 5th-ranked opponent in 7 games for the Hoosiers. That is the most in the nation. C.J. Stroud trying to keep his hot streak going. Jack Tuttle getting the start once again with Michael Penix out for the Hoosiers. Down 7-0. Tuttle, the Peyton Hender shot for the touchdown to tie it at 7. Tuttle hurt on the play, returned briefly, but would go on to leave the game again. And late in the first quarter, Travion Henderson getting loose. 9 carries, 81 yards, couple scores. Buckeyes back on top, a lead they would never relinquish. More from Henderson. Just special, Joshua.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the way that this guy is slicing and dicing defenses. He's got really good contact balance. He gets hit, but he doesn't go down.
21-7 Bucks, and then C.J. Stroud, Chris Olave.
Just not fair. That's all I can say.
That's good on Sundays.
This looks easy.
8th touchdown grab of the year was 30-7, and then it is Henderson again. Working his way into the end zone. Ohio State up 37-7. And more from Stroud. Jeremy Ruckert for the touchdown. It was 44-7 at halftime. Stroud throwing for 266 yards. 27th straight win for the Buckeyes over IU. Another touchdown there to Ruckert. That extends the longest streak in Big Ten history. 54-7 the final. Elise Menaker with Ryan Day.
Coach, this is now the 4th straight game where your team has scored at least 50 points. How are they able to be so successful in such a dominant fashion?
Well, it really starts with practice during the week, and we talk about how the way you practice during the week is going to translate to the field. And if you believe that, then bring it every day in practice. And that's really what we've been focusing on. And no expectations coming into the game, just playing one play at a time, and that's what we're doing.
I know that you've had expectations for your quarterback, C.J. Stroud. What difference are you seeing in him now, say, as opposed to week 1?
Just poise overall, taking the meetings to the field, taking practice to the game, understanding situations. He's still learning. I mean, he really is. But, he's done some really good things. I'm proud of where he's at, but we got some big games ahead. Certainly this big one going against a really good Penn State defense, so we're going to have a great week of practice.
This is a team that's coming together. You even said it this week that they're starting to believe in themselves. The defense that held Indiana to just 10 rushing yards in the first half. How are you seeing this team come together as a whole unit?
Yeah, I think you're starting to see guys, comfortable in their roles, understanding that they're getting a bunch of reps. And so because of that, they're starting to play with more confidence. They believe in the guy next to them. And because of that, again, you're starting to see the team play with more energy and better execution.
Hopefully some better weather next week, right?
Yeah, we didn't expect this, but they handled it well.
Thanks so much for the time, Coach.
Okay, all right.
Our Applebee's quarterback comparison. You look at the numbers for Stroud, now 22 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. Last 3 games, 14 TDs, no picks. Compared to the IU quarterbacks, I would say Stroud had the upper hand on this comparison. Fair to say.
Yeah, it is fair.
Yeah. Again, they just look phenomenal. You heard 4 straight games scoring 50 or more points. That ties the school record. Just feels like this offense right now has been unstoppable.
Yeah, it has been unstoppable, and I think the big piece of that is the way that C.J. Stroud has been performing. Obviously, going out there, 75% completion. He's throwing close to 300 yards in this game, 4 touchdowns, and it's really efficient. And people talked about C.J. at the beginning of the year where he wasn't a confident quarterback. He wasn't somebody who you felt like was really in control of the offense, and now you can look at him and say that he is the unquestioned leader on that side of the ball. I think that's really important, but he's also complemented by a run game that has multiple players that can get in there and give you good yards, and I think that's what's most dangerous. We talk about balance within the Big Ten, and some teams, and Ohio State's a heavy passing team. That's what Ryan Day likes to do, but some teams are really one-dimensional. Ohio State will hurt you anyway.
I think there's some events that have gotten us here with this Ohio State team. First of all, the loss to Oregon, I think, started it, right? They had to fix the defense. Then CJ's playing, and then he takes that week off, and he came back. And I think he came back as a different player. And I think Ryan Day said, we wanted you to watch it and take a breath and all that, and that worked. And then Henderson came on the scene, and I thought that completed their offense with talent. You have a great quarterback, you have great presence at tailback. And then they had the bye, Howard, and then they came back today, and they did not look like a team that was a little rusty from not playing. And they didn't practice a lot. We had, who do we have on the air on today? Olave, and he said we took a bunch of time off. They look full speed today. So this bye week has really helped them.
So here's what's scary when you start to talk about this team, right? We know how explosive they are at the running back position. We know how explosive they are at the wide receiver position. CJ's playing unbelievable, and now they've decided to get the tight ends involved. Jeremy Rucker, who has just been an unbelievable talent, he just has not necessarily been utilized. He's going to be the beneficiary of what's going on around him. Now, all of a sudden, the tight end becomes a valuable part of what this team does offensively. Who do you stop? Where do you go?
The answer is there's really no one you can stop. I mean, they had a streak of 19 straight touchdown drives with Stroud. I mean, that's crazy.
It's ridiculous. And the offense is the story, but Jerry, you touched on it. The defense right now? The way that they have been playing, and you talked about crisis mode, and we disagreed a little bit about that, but the defense has really stepped up, and you look at Indiana going down there, and it's a banged-up offense, and we understand that. 75 yards in the first drive, not very much after that. Ohio State is starting to feel when there's blood in the water, they're sensing it, and they're pouncing on teams, and I think that's what becomes really dangerous is when you can get a full game out of this team, and those athletes on defense come to play, I don't know who's going to beat them.
10 straight conference road wins by double-digit margins. That is the longest streak in the history of the Big Ten. Again, more on this game coming up. We will hear from C.J. Stroud, maybe shaping up for a huge game at the end of the year with the Michigan Wolverines. They had Northwestern at home on Saturday, and the George Jewett Trophy, first African-American to play for both schools, started at Michigan, transferred to Northwestern. They honored his legacy with that new trophy. Blake Corum down to the 1-yard line in the first quarter, and then Corum takes it in, part of a 13-play, 79-yard drive that gave the Wolverines the lead. Pat Fitzgerald handing it off to Evan Hull, and
go.
That turned out to be a really good idea. 75 yards for the touchdown. It was 10-7 Wolverines at the half. Third quarter opening drive for Michigan, and it's Corum. 119 rushing yards for him. First time over 100 against a Big Ten opponent. Made it 17-7. Northwestern then missed a field goal, and subsequent to that, yes, the dreaded double thump. So some serious special teams issues for the Wildcats. Cornelius Johnson with the block there. They get it deep in Northwestern territory. Michigan does, and Hassan Haskins, 110 rushing yards. Juwan Howard, double thumbs up. Wolverines starting to pull away. And Ryan Helinski. DJ Turner, how about that interception?
It's a heck of a play.
Check it out again here, fellas.
Tip ball? Yeah, I tip it to myself.
A little concentration. Only counts for one.
Just one.
But that was a pretty good one.
And that leads to Haskins taking it in as the Wolverines get their 7th straight win over the Wildcats, 15th in their last 17 meetings. They are 7-0 heading into that game with Michigan State. Here's Haskins with Jenny Taft.
Hassan, congratulations. 7-0 for this team. I know you're playing with something to prove, but really, we are all taking note of the run game, the 1-2 punch between you, Blake Corum right now. How would you describe what is working so well between the two of you?
I just want to give credit to my O-line. They've been working their butts off all year round, so I just want to give all my credit to them. If it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be no run game. So.
And I heard a story that between you and Blake, you have this little bit of rivalry. You push each other in the weight room, on the field. What is your relationship and dynamic like?
We got a great relationship. Any little thing we go against each other. That's how we get each other better. Every day in the weight room, anything. We just push each other to get better every day.
And we complement each other real well. A great 1-2 punch. We both bring different things to the table. And so defenses have to get prepared for that. And, like I said, we feed off each other, and it was great. Shout out to the line. They did their thing, but I was really just getting warmed up. When you get running back warmed up, like myself, Hassan, we get going. And so, like I said, shout out to the line. They blocked great and allowed me to have some one-on-one matchups, and you got to win those.
Corum and Haskins both over 100 rushing yards in the same game. Second time that's happened this year. Last time Michigan had 2 backs do it in the same year, 1994. Tyrone Wheatley and Tim Biakapatuka. Some pretty good names. And they didn't have those glasses. Neither one of those guys had those glasses.
We need to get you some of those glasses.
You think I'd look at it?
Absolutely.
I think I could pull it
off.
And
you already got the sleeve of tattoos.
Yeah.
Well, I like to. But yeah.
Well, that's why he wears the long shirt.
Yeah.
Did you say you think you could pull it off?
I'm confident I can pull it off.
Really? You can.
Yeah. I think we've kind of veered off course, though. Let's talk a little bit about Michigan, shall we? Yeah.
What's dangerous about Michigan, getting back on course, is the dominant run game, and that's something that we know that travels. They got 2 backs who are really good. They can get you great yards, and they can find the end zone. They have a dominant defense, a defense that runs around. They have athletes at all 3 levels, and we saw the special teams come into play. Blocking a punt is a game-changing play. That's what they did out there today. And so you see all those things come together, and it's been pretty consistent in their ability to find those yards when they really need them on the ground, their ability to come up with stops on defense, starting to look like a really complete team that's going to be able to compete at the end of the year.
I think they're almost complete. There's 3 or 4 teams in the conference that if they have to throw it, we don't know if they can throw it well enough. I think Michigan's one of those teams, but at least they threw it 32 times. Now, the stats aren't very good within that 32 number, but at least they're trying to make themselves a little bit more effective as a passing team.
Here's what I like. Each and every week, they've gotten better, right? As the talent, the competition has stepped up. Now we've got a team heading for a collision course with Michigan State. So we're going to find out a lot about both of these teams in the coming week.
Yeah, you talk about that throw game, and you spoke about Ohio State's tight ends. Michigan's got some guys at tight end that I think are really dangerous.
The heck with the game this week. I can't wait for the banter to go back and forth.
I mean, it's going to be unbelievable.
Between Mel and Jim and the whole operation.
This won't be anything.
A couple of personalities.
No. I mean, it's going to be a fun week.
First time both will be in the top 10 for that game since 1964.
Woo.
One in the submarine, the other one trying to drag you into the deep end.
Yeah, there's a lot of water metaphors going on in the Great Lakes State. Number 25, Purdue hosting Wisconsin. Pick it up in the second quarter. Badgers on top 10-7. Look out. Graham Mertz goes down. And George Karlaftis, who spent the week with Joshua Perry.
Not
at least
good.
an hour.
Looks good running.
Yeah. Would have been nice to see some of the things that you did with them.
They'll be on digital, and we'll probably re-up them during the week. So.
Okay.
That was an impressive scoop and score there. Aiden O'Connell picked off by John Torchio.
Hey, John.
Torchio.
Woo! You see the little cut back there?
So they get it at the 1 yard line.
Yeah, but
and they settled for a field goal.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Went to the half tied at 13. Third quarter, they couldn't score when they had 1 yard to go, but when they had a lot longer than that.
Pull over!
70 yards there for Braylon Allen, his third straight 100-yard game, down to the Purdue 24, and then Chesma. Lucy, how about that move, Jerry?
Well, he set it up, then he spun, nobody could touch him.
You got to know and have something in your back pocket.
Yeah, I have to watch.
You saw the spin. Now the acceleration.
You nearly jumped off the couch in the green room on that play. And then I bring it back to you just, 14 hours later, and you're not ready.
That's a fair comment.
290 rushing yards for the Badgers. And turnovers were a huge issue for Purdue. They had 5. They're most in a Big Ten game in 7 years. Jeff Brom says, don't
throw
do
it
that
to
again.
the other guys.
That thing you just did,
don't do it
don't
again.
Do that again.
He's emotional.
Braylon Allen's 17 years old.
He's really good.
He's going to be really good. 30-13, the Badgers beat Purdue for the 15th straight time. Here's Rick Pizzo with Paul Chris.
Paul, negative 13 rushing yards for Purdue, and you totally shut down David Bell until that last drive. How did this defense do it?
It's a heck of a group, and appreciate the plan the coaches put in, and then the players make it come to life and challenge each week in different ways, but thought they were just tremendous today.
Offensively, what did you like the most about not just your offensive line, but the 1-2 punch of Ches and Braylon?
Yeah, certainly, gave us a lot, and there's times where we had great field position. We got to do a better job of taking advantage, but I thought guys put it out there, and up front got it started, and I thought the backs ran really hard, and, want to take away some of the, Braylon had to put it on the ground, but boy, I thought they ran really hard and some big runs, and, Ches on the touchdown, that was huge.
Well, as everyone saw, it was a disappointing day for us, and I'll take full responsibility. Obviously didn't call a good game and didn't have our guys ready to play and didn't have our guys understanding what it takes to really win at a high level in this conference, especially against good teams. So obviously didn't come down off the high from last week. Our quarterback has to play better. I have to do a better job. We got to block better. Our offensive line has to play better. There's, football's a lot of things, and we can't all put it on the quarterback. But throwing interceptions can't happen. So if we can't eliminate those or limit those, then we will have some issues.
Fourth time in 5 games, the Boilermakers have failed to score more than 13 points. Offense has certainly been an issue for them, but can't say enough about Wisconsin. The ground game and the defense, both top-notch.
Yeah, the defense really stands out to me. And we talked all year basically about how good we think this Wisconsin defensive unit is. But one of the critiques that we have had is the fact that they don't take the football away enough. And that was something that they did in this game. And it's something that's really going to put them over the top because it helps an offense that can run the football, but they're not necessarily explosive when it comes to throwing the football. It puts them in great field position type of situations. And so when you're playing complementary football like that, that's when you have a chance to compete. Now Wisconsin becomes even more dangerous because of the defensive things that they can do, but now their offense will be in striking distance.
Yeah, I mean, the big story is their defense in the rushing game, right? And the issue is they were 5 for 8 in the passing game. And I think we've talked about this enough. If there's a time when they have to throw it, can they throw it? And I don't know that we learned any of that today. I go to the Purdue side. Rick said they had minus 13 yards rushing. If you look at the tailback gain, it was around 20 yards. And that was really the problem. Jeff Brom called a great game against Iowa because he made Iowa defend the run. He didn't run through the Iowa defense. He couldn't make the Wisconsin defense defend the run today, so he couldn't throw the ball the way he wanted to.
I think the other thing when you start to talk about the way the Badgers defended David Bell is the fact that he was getting different looks. And up front, that offensive line was seeing different looks, different blitzes coming from different places. So the quarterback never had an opportunity to get comfortable in the pocket and read the coverage the way he did the week before. That's just how good this Badger defense is, and that's the kind of stress they put on offense. You have to make good decisions as a quarterback when you're playing against their team.
Wisconsin ending an 8-game losing streak against ranked teams, have been their longest in 29 years. Of course, this is the first time the Boilermakers were ranked in 14 years and unable to uphold that ranking. They go to Nebraska next week. Maryland and Minnesota, Michael Locksley, PJ Fleck, talking things over before the game. PJ tells him, I've got running backs coming out of my ears. Kai Thomas, he had 14 carries all year coming in. 38 yards there, Minnesota into Maryland territory in a 3-3 game. Then Cole Kramer, that's what he likes to do, that QB keeper. Minnesota on top 10-3. How about more from Thomas? 21 carries. Again, he had 14 all year coming in. 139 yards and a touchdown. 17-3 in favor of Minnesota. Maryland trying to come back. Leah Tungabailoa. Marcus Fleming, the Nebraska transfer. Remember, they have 2 wide receivers out for the year. And Fleming, 43 yards there into Minnesota territory. Tayon Fleet-Davis.
He doesn't get enough pub. He's pretty good.
Maryland down 17-10. And speaking of all those tailbacks, Bryce Williams, remember he went over 100 yards last week. Gophers had 326 rushing yards. Bucko Irving, why not? 15 carries, 105 yards.
I'm going to punch you.
All this means is you need a pair and a spare for your pair on the way out and repair.
And some air.
Minnesota, 8th win in its last 9 conference home games against unranked teams. 34-16. Megan McEwen with the Gophers.
Coach, earlier this week you talked about establishing an offensive rhythm early. Your offense puts up more than 400 yards. What did you like about their performance today?
I thought we started a little bit slow on offense, but then we got into a rhythm. I thought we really mixed it up, whether it was a naked game, play action game, or just some pitch and catch stuff that we were doing. But I thought our O-line blocked really well, our tight ends, our wideouts on the outside, and I thought those running backs ran hard.
Speaking of those running backs, you had more than 1 score touchdowns, 3 total. How important is it to have that type of group step up, especially considering the adversity you faced in that position group?
Yeah, I mean, 2 of those guys are freshmen, and they're playing in a big-time position right now. We're going to need a lot of depth going forward. We know that. It's a very physical conference, and we're not even to November yet. It's a beautiful day in Minneapolis. We'll take it. And but we just got to keep getting better. Proud of what we did up front. Defensively speaking, that was a heck of a performance.
We just got to execute. Whenever we're executing and playing really hard, it's tough to move the ball. We feel like we can really do a good job when we handle our stuff on our end. We had some mistakes in the first half that led to explosive plays, and you saw them score touchdowns. And so as long as we can keep people from getting explosives and make them drive the length of the field, we think we can have a lot of success.
As a leader on this defense, how important is it to peak at the second half of this Big Ten season?
We just talk about every day, just changing our best and continue to get better every day. Whether it's a good day, bad day, just change our best the next day. Like what we did today isn't good enough next week. It's not good enough tomorrow. So we just got to keep changing our best and moving forward.
Howard, they're 3-1 now in Big Ten play. The only loss was to Ohio State, so it was not a division game. Right. The schedule is very favorable. This is a team that is going to be in the discussion.
Yeah, the way they run the ball, I think their offensive line doesn't get enough credit. Tanner Morgan, when he gets into a groove, he's playing at a high level when he gets there. And then defensively, they come up with just enough plays to really make things happen. So this team is going to be a tough out for anybody that they have opportunity to play.
You know, other than the Bowling Green loss, I think they're one of the most consistent teams in the conference. They're playing really good defense, as you mentioned, Howard. They're running the ball. They've got Northwestern and Illinois coming up. Those are certainly games that they can win. They're on a roll. Give PJ a lot of credit for having his team ready every week.
Yeah, and I think that goes to the culture, and PJ talks about that, but you can see it. When you have an All-American running back go down and then his backup goes down and you're still productive on the ground, I think that goes to the culture because guys are ready to step in and do their job. And you talk about the defense that they play, and they've done a good job on that side of the ball. That's culture, too. So he's got this thing rolling. I think it's something that people need to take notice of because they are absolutely in the thick of it, and I think that they're a team to contend with.
They have had 5 different backs run for 100 yards in a game this year.
Wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's only the second Big Ten team to do that this century.
Big guys up front getting things done.
Played
a lot early as freshmen. Now they're in a situation where they've got a lot of veterans up there.
No doubt. Awfully good offensive line. Howard Griffith, I need a Saturday standout.
Well, you know where I'm going. Where? What? Chase Brown. What are you talking about? This guy's been unbelievable the last couple of weeks, really stepping up, going over 200 yards, really consistent in his ability to run the ball. And guess what? He's got to share time. So he's putting up these numbers by sharing time with the guy in the backfield. So he's my guy.
That's cool and everything, but how about C.J. Stroud? 21 of 28, that's 75%, 266 yards, 4 touchdowns, which he's been a touchdown machine. I said this earlier about C.J. Stroud. He is the unquestioned leader of Ohio State's offense at this moment. He's performing at a high level.
And how do you two guys think all this stuff gets done?
By guards like you?
The guys up front. Look at this Minnesota offensive line. They are my standout for the week, today. I mean, look at the left tackle and the left guard, the center, the right guard, and the right tackle. All 5 of them.
We're aware of all the offensive line positions. Thank you. I'm going with Leo Chanel. Chanel number 5, if you will. 3.5 sacks, 5.5 tackles for loss. That's the most by a Badger since 2003. He led a defense that held Purdue to negative 13 rushing yards.